Welcome to the Love 'em or Leave 'em Relationship Summit, where we are talking openly and honestly on the topic, should I stay or should I go? I'm your host, KP Smith, and I am so happy to have Veronica Monet joining us. As a relationship coach, Veronica combines her gift for deep empathy with many years of formal education. As a certified sexologist, sex educator, and anger management specialist, she helps couples to connect with compassion and create vibrant, heart-centered, long-term relationships. Her 5 steps to exquisite partnership is a unique approach to relationship difficulties that transforms conflict into deep intimacy. Veronica has been featured on national outlets such as CNN, Fox, and the New York Times. You can learn more about Veronica at www.theshamefreezone.com. Welcome, Veronica.
Hey, I'm so happy to be here with you, KP. I just love your energy, and I love what you're putting out there.
Thank you. I can't wait to get into this. But before we do, tell us a little bit more about Veronica, about your journey, and how you got to where you are today.
Absolutely. I'd love to do that. I started life off in a very dysfunctional family. I found it was a fabulous training ground for me. So although I have the college degree, I chose a major in psychology. And then I went and got certified as a sexologist, and I'm certified as an anger management specialist. And, that's great. And I've also got over 10 years of working as a relationship coach, so I've got quite a bit of experience that goes past the education. But I actually think the most valuable thing is the experience, personal experience in my life of having gone through so much of what my clients experience myself. So, my parents suffered from a tremendous amount of conflict and turmoil, and that included domestic violence. And when I left home and went to get into relationships myself, I just brought a lot of that baggage with me. I didn't know how not to do what they did and didn't even know there were other ways of doing things. So gradually, my life became very dysfunctional too. And I ended up getting a lot of therapy and went to support groups and 12-step groups and all kinds of stuff. I rode to recovery around domestic violence, codependency, alcohol and drug addiction, incest. I was an incest survivor as a child, date rape survivor. I've just been through a lot, and one of my taglines is Veronica's done it so you don't have to. And the other thing that I really think I've lived about 5 lifetimes in this one lifetime. So it's been an amazing journey, and it continues to be a very exciting and amazing journey. And I love the fact that I'm able to bring what I learn, not just what I've learned in a book or in a classroom, but what I've learned in the School of Hard Knocks to my clients. So what I can, work with them and say, I went through that myself, and this worked, that didn't work, and it's really productive, it's fulfilling, and I love getting results for people. That's what I'm all about. So at this particular time in my life, I've been clean and sober for 30 years, and I've been in the relationship of my dreams for 5.5 years, and I'm leading a very joyful, sexy life. So
wonderful. Now you talk about my energy, but I don't think I've gone through maybe half, 1/10 of what you have. So bravo for you that you've gone through all this. Not only have you gone through it and trying to help people, but you still have energy. You still have pep. You still putting one foot in front of the other. It looks like you might sounds like you might be even skipping a little bit.
Awesome. If I can reframe that, I wouldn't even use that word still. I would say I actually have more excitement, joy, and verve and chi than I ever had before the trauma.
Wonderful.
So I've learned to, and this is really what I help people do. Take what we cast as negative in our culture, like anger, conflict, and turn it into a positive. Because I really think that those challenges are meant to create something better. So it's not that we're going to overcome those obstacles. We're going to learn to catalyze those obstacles to create the life that we really want to have.
Wow. I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
Like the saying used to say, you get lemons, you make lemonade. But I love the way you said it better, catalyze.
I guess I've just kind of like one of the, I'm a bit of a health nut. I like to work out, and to me, life's difficulties is like putting a stack of weights on at the gym. I'm going to go lift those weights, and I'm going to build better muscles, and I'll actually be healthier and more alive on the other side. So if I'm having relationship difficulties, I get excited because that means we're about ready to have something better than what we had 5 minutes ago.
I love it. I'm going to remind myself of that. That's an excellent way to look at it. Excellent. Excellent. Veronica, we're talking about should we stay or should we go and all that and all that it entails. You have an interesting take on one of the issues, and could you expound on why it might make more sense to work on your current relationship even if you're sure you want to end it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. This is what I did. I was married for 15 years, and then I worked my divorce for 10. I know, I'm crazy that way. I remember one time I was problem solving on the phone with my ex-husband. He goes, "Why are we still doing this? We're not even married." And I said, "'Cause I'm not done learning." It's like, I want to figure out what I was supposed to learn while I was in a relationship with you so I can take it to my next relationship and do better. And that's I've helped clients do that, actually. I'm thinking of one client in particular who did get a divorce, but we worked with her marriage for about a year, kind of knowing that it probably wasn't going to stay a marriage, that it probably was going to lead to divorce. But there were so many beautiful things that we got to work on before the marriage was terminated, and it really catapulted her into another phase of her relationship life, so that she doesn't have to attract people into her life that are like her ex-husband. Her very next relationship bears so little resemblance to the ex-husband that it's almost unheard of, because usually what happens is people don't look at their own patterns. It's not working. Right. They're unhappy. They're unfulfilled. They find somebody else that they're feeling really enamored with, but they don't realize that they've just pulled in the same relationship. Now, it can look very different. The person can be a different gender, a different race, a different religion, whatever, but that's not the thing you should be looking at. What you want to look at are the ways that you interact, and those dynamics are what tell you what kind of a relationship you're going to have. And if you just keep pulling in the same relationship dynamic, you're probably going to be a serial monogamous, which is kind of what the world's doing nowadays. People just kind of go from relationship to relationship to relationship. Usually that first 2 years, you're kind of bathing in a heroin-like cocktail of oxytocin, vasopressin. You're feeling no pain at all. And then at some point, problems show up. Yes. And if that disillusions you, that there's difficulties, then you're probably going to either act out in some way and try to get your partner to stop doing what they're doing, or you might acquiesce and kind of pull back and contract a little bit and try to avoid the problems. And then, sooner or later they don't go away. So then what do? And I would say if you think that relationship is on its way out, this is the time to work really hard to learn everything you can because you don't want to move on to the next relationship without knowing what it was you were supposed to learn from this first one.
That is fascinating. So this a client, when they are coming for coaching or for counseling, this lady had come to the conclusion that her relationship was over, yet she still stayed in it a year to work on all the things that she thought it was over because she didn't know it could have turned out to be okay, but she stayed there to work on it. That's fascinating.
Yeah. Well, we just shifted her paradigm. It was kind of like, all right, instead of trying to figure out if the relationship's going to survive or end, let's just work on the one thing you have control over, which is yourself. Yes. So when you see, oh, there I am, I'm doing that pattern. Well, I want to stop doing that pattern. What is it that I do? Do I avoid? Do I, erupt into rage? Try to scare everybody? Do I try to be helpful, quote unquote helpful, where you're giving advice that's unwanted? What are my patterns? How do I cope with conflict or potential conflict? And then how can I change that to a more successful paradigm to where I'm feeling better about myself and people are feeling better about me? And if I make those changes and I love the end result, I love me, I love what I'm doing, it starts rubbing. It's like it's happening now. My relationship with my kids is improving. My relationship at work is improving.
Yes.
My relationship with myself is working, but the relationship with my partner is not. Then I know it's time to leave.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. That is so awesome because I'm sitting here reflecting because the human part of me is like, well, it's time to go, it's time to go. But, I mean, I just think of all the benefits that you can have at the end of that. And I loved how you said, you're a better person, you're a better employee, you're a better coworker, you're a better parent, you're a better neighbor. Just as you're starting to work on yourself, it improves all these relationships. So even if the relationship at home doesn't work, I mean, look how much you've gained. And then you are much better to go into that next relationship. That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
and it's kind of like people will usually they go in towards bitterness, towards divorce with bitterness in their heart, which then kind of creates a negative life.
Right.
On the other side of that divorce, everything's negative, and the relationships that you attract are going to be negative, and so the idea is to start creating that positive life right now, without worrying about whether the marriage is on its way out or not. And believe me, if you start changing your patterns to something that's positive and your partner wants to stay mired in the negative, they may make the choice for you. They'll just be so uncomfortable with the new you that they don't even want to be around it. So that's the other thing. I remember, I don't go to my mother for relationship advice for obvious reasons. She was in a very dysfunctional relationship.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean she can't say something wise, even if she maybe wasn't able to practice it. And she said something one time to me when I was still married, and my husband was, oh God, we were just fighting horribly. Not domestic violence anymore, thank God, but verbal fights that were just horrible. And she told me, she says, if you want to get a divorce, stop arguing. And I thought, what is she talking about? So I tried it one day. I just stopped arguing, and next thing I knew, I mean, it was like we were on the fast track to separating because he didn't know how to respond to somebody who wasn't throwing a bunch of mud in his direction. And it does this other thing when you don't return the hate and the venom to your partner, when you decide to either be quiet or disengage or just be calm and loving, it highlights for them how irrational and abusive they are being. And there's really only two things that they can do with that. They're either going to have to get away from you because that's a really uncomfortable feeling, or they're going to have to start looking at themselves and change.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes just
Fascinating.
being quiet, stop trying to control things. And then the dust will settle and you will see the truth.
Whew, quiet is not my strongest suit, but I work on it. I work on it daily.
Well, we're usually yelling because we're afraid. We're afraid of losing face or losing control or losing some other thing that's really important to us. I mean, let's face it, when you're talking about divorce, there's a lot riding on the line here. It's not just about the companionship and the romance and the home. It's also money, kids, maybe a shared business, friends, family.
Family, yes.
Yeah.
It's a whole life. It's a whole life.
Yeah.
It is a whole life. I thought marriage was a big step, but divorce was an even bigger one. I mean, that is really, it's a whole change of life.
Oh, my God.
So many people.
That is so profound what you said, KP. That is so profound, and it's so, so true. Marriage was a big move, and yet in a lot of ways, people nowadays are living together, so when they formalize it with getting married, it may or may not change a lot of things. But, boy, when you get a divorce, wow. Yeah. It's expensive on so many fronts.
Oh, monetarily, emotionally, mentally, with the kids. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
but I want to stress that I think divorce can be an incredibly wise decision. I'm really glad I got divorced. Just thrilled that I got divorced.
Look, I've said this, and I'm not being mean, but my life started over when I got divorced. I'm not an advocate of it. I'm not out there. Everybody has to make their own decisions, but for me, I can only speak for myself. Yeah. I had little or no choice, and I would do it 20 times over again. You can't redo. The only thing I would have maybe redone is not married him, but then I have 2 wonderful sons. So, you can always go through that merry-go-round of what I would have done over. But I already made the decision. I married him, and, my life totally changed. I don't think I'd be doing what I'm doing now if I was, still in that marriage, because it wasn't good, and it just sucked all the life out of me. I wouldn't be on the phone with you right now because I didn't have that. Right,
exactly. And it can take a tremendous amount of courage to walk away from a dysfunctional relationship. As somebody who came out of a relationship, that had domestic violence in it, not my most recent marriage, but my first relationship. Back in my 20s, I was in a relationship that was full of domestic violence, and it was scary even to leave. I was afraid that he'd track me down and find me, and actually he did stalk me for about 2 months.
My goodness.
It's very frightening in some cases, and then in other cases it's just we've got, let's say there is no domestic violence, it's not all that abusive, but you're slowly turning into somebody that you don't like. You're kind of losing your passion and your enthusiasm, and maybe turning to some addictive things, eating a little too much of that, or drinking a little too much of this, or smoking a little too much of whatever. And when you see those bad habits creeping in, it can be an indication that you're not really happy, and that you're avoiding that fact. Yeah. And people kind of fall into this, or even just turn the TV on, and so they don't have to talk to each other. And the sex kind of starts to get boring if it happens at all. And people just kind of go numb. They just go numb.
Oh, exactly. I've been a workers' compensation adjuster for 17, 18 years. It hasn't been like my dream job, but it has been able to help me or assist me in providing the bills, provide for my sons. And when it got to the point that I'd rather be at work than go home, I knew there was a problem. There was a major problem. When work became my escape from home, I knew that, there was a major problem going on.
Well,
so
KP, I'll tell you what I did. I hung out at the gym. I'd work, and then I'd go to the gym.
Yes. You're taking
You
it
know,
slow. You're everywhere trying to avoid home. I understand.
Exactly. That
I
horrible
understand.
feeling in the pit of your gut when you drive up to the house, just before you get out of the car and walk in the front door, you're wondering, oh, my God, what's it going to be like? Is he or she at home? What kind of a mood are they in? We never did solve that last argument.
I'm
Horrible.
telling you.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, everybody has to make their own decision. For me, life began 10 years ago, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
We talked about at the beginning your 5 steps to exquisite partnership, but if you don't mind, explain to us more, what is an exquisite partnership?
Oh, well, it is what I'm living right now. And
tell us. Tell us.
So basically, instead of worrying that oh God, how are we going to solve this? You know, he wants this and I want that, and we don't agree. Instead of doing that, I get excited about the differences, because that's why I'm in a partnership. If I just want my thoughts, my feelings, my brain power, my talents, my gifts, which are all I have huge respect for. I think they're wonderful, and I want to share them, and I want to fully realize them. But if that's all I have in a relationship, then I don't really have a relationship. I have a supporting cast, as it were.
Wow.
But if I want to have a real relationship where I'm a partnership, then what I want is that person's input. I want their opinions. I want their different perspective. And that means I've got to be open to, and I don't mean open to compromise, because I think that what people do when they go to compromise is shortchange the relationship. Compromise is great if you got 2 kids squabbling in the backseat of the car, okay? And compromise is great sometimes at work, because there's just too many different people with different agendas and personalities. But hopefully the person that you're sharing a bed with is somebody that you've got something in common with. And if you have common values and common objectives, then those disagreements are an opportunity to stretch and grow in each other's direction. And that will make what you create together just that much more vibrant and exciting, because you're not just getting yourself. And I got to tell you, that 15 years that I was married, my partner was part of my supporting cast. As a matter of fact, he wasn't real interested in the things that I was interested in, but he was always supportive. He very agreeable. And the thing I heard more than anything was, honey, it doesn't matter to me, whatever you want. And at first, being a control freak, I loved that.
It sounds great. Right.
Yeah. But after a while, it's kind of like living alone. This person's not really showing up with all of themselves. And I mean, there were times I was just like, please disagree with me. Bring something to this. It's like I'm running the whole show here.
Yes, understood.
Yeah, so I went in search of somebody who's got a strong personality and is going to bring things to me that I wouldn't have thought of on my own. And I need somebody that's powerful and strong and brilliant, because I bring that to a relationship too. So if that's what floats your boat, if that's what makes you happy, and I would say, my 5 steps to exquisite partnership are really for people who are wanting the very best that relationship can provide. So it'd be kind of like if you were looking for trainers, and I'm a coach, I'm a relationship coach. So but let's say you went to the gym and you were looking for a trainer, and you just wanted somebody to kind of show you how to work the machines, or you wanted to take a nice, easy yoga class or something. I'm not your girl, right? Because I want to really take you to the heights. I want to help you your relationship sing. I want to take it to that place that when you were a little kid, you were fantasizing about. Oh, when I fall in love, it's going to be like that. And here's the real payoff on this. You start opening up to this, what's going to happen is the sex is going to blow your mind. Because what I have found is that for most people, see, they run out of juice after about 2 years because they stop talking about stuff. And what they found was, oh, well, we started to talk about that, but that was kind of, we didn't agree, so let's just not talk about it. And every time you do that, you're just like stuffing all of these frustrations and feelings down inside yourself and kind of turning off pieces of yourself. So then when it comes to sex, well, for some reason, you're just not all that excited about it, and you can't figure out why. And in my opinion, and, personal, professional opinion here, a lot of that why is that you're not talking about the things that scare you.
Wow.
So I help people go in and start talking about the things that scare them so that they can start being each other's best friend. And in the process of that, their libido comes back with a vengeance. And a lot of times people will walk out of here. I'm in my office right now. They'll walk out of my office, and I will get a text message saying, we just had the best sex we've had in 10 or 20 years. So, and yes, I'm a sexologist. I could be teaching techniques, but I'm not. I'm not. I'm teaching communication skills.
So in walking away or trying to not deal with fear or conflict, it's causing a whole bunch of other issues. Obviously, we know that, but in the communication, it's just going to open up so many different avenues. I love what you said, though, about wanting someone who's strong like you and smart like you and vibrant like you, a true partner, versus someone who will, not even just let you have your way, but somebody who's not engaged. I love that. That is true partnership. If you don't have that, then, you just have a supporting cast. You just have an audience. You have a crowd, but you don't have somebody who's really in there with you, bringing out your best while you're bringing out their best. I love that.
Yes. Well, an exquisite partnership is really saying, I'm going to go from a place of dealing with the conflicts because I better, to a place of saying, bring it on. This is why we're here. This is why we got into this relationship, because our disagreements are the most fruitful place that's in the relationship. Where we disagree is where we grow. And we can help each other to grow and become more than we'd ever be if we were by ourselves. So it's not just that I initially, I wanted a partner who would maybe have an opinion when I was remodeling the whole house. Please, have an opinion, please.
Yeah, that paint looks great, with those orange curtains. Oh,
right.
Fabulous.
Right. But at this point in my life, what I really get excited about is when I take my hurt feelings to my partner and I say, I don't like something that you said or did. And I get really excited because I know that he is going to grow and change, and I'm going to grow and change just for that one simple act. Because what will happen is I'll get to see what it is like in his movie, what he meant, what he was living with, and I'll go, I hadn't thought about it from that standpoint. And then he's going to have the same experience of going, wow, I hadn't seen it from your perspective either. And so then tomorrow when we get up, we've got this bigger view of the world, thanks to each other, thanks to our courage to share those not so pleasant feelings of being hurt or frightened. And I got to tell you something, KP. One of the things that just blows my mind is that how we as human beings, we are so fragile. And there is so much fear and sadness and anger. Those three, fear, sadness, and anger, going on all the time. We're not talking about it. We're not being honest about it with ourselves or with each other. And so we end up feeling alone.
I was just talking about that with an expert, that, and one of the worst things is to be in a relationship but you feel all alone. I mean, how awful and miserable is that? And
yes, right? You get into bed.
Whether it's warranted or not, that's what you feel. I mean, you know,
You're laying next to each other in bed and you feel like you are on a desert island.
Oh my goodness. Staring at the ceiling. I'm telling you, then they'll never want to go back. And, you know, it's not even about pointing fingers, because I had to go through the process of, you know, being honest about, you know, what I contributed to it. But, yes, and to get to that place. But what you're offering is hope, and what you're offering is hope. And like you said, even if it doesn't work out, you're a better person. I mean, so that's something we're always aspiring to be, or should be, is being better.
Yes, absolutely.
So, Veronica, if we, just like we're talking about, we have the exquisite partnership. If we're not sure the relationship is going to work out or not, we're still working on ourselves. When we get to a certain point, or how do you help your clients determine at the end of the process, if the process really ever ends, but just for this particular one, or if they should stay or if they go? How does that look like for them to determine? What are some of the tools and resources you give them?
Well, of course, the first one is like that intuitive feeling, and that's going to vary from person to person. It's going to be very specific to your situation.
Yes,
but I think when we've got to first do the heavy lifting, and the heavy lifting is to really get honest with yourself about your feelings, and start looking at your own inventory. What is it that I could do better? How could I be a better person? So if you've done that work, you've taken your own inventory, you've made amends to your partner, your current partner, for whatever you think you need to make an amends for. and I want to stress, an amends is way different than an apology. An apology is kind of like, oh, I'm sorry I did that, or I'm sorry I hurt you. An amends is you take the time and you go, wow, you know, I realized when I did this or that, or I said this or that, if somebody had said that to me, I probably would have felt whatever, you know, angry, hurt. So you're really empathizing with it. You're kind of crawling into their skin, as it were, putting yourself in their shoes. And then you can say, I am really sorry I put you through that. But the amends isn't done until you have a plan for not doing it again. And this is where people apologize a lot of times. It might as well be a pass for, okay, I'm sorry, can I do it again? And amends is saying, I'm making a commitment not to do it again, not put through empty platitudes and promises, because Lord knows we've all heard those and they never pan out. But taking steps like, hey, every time I get angry, I throw something. Here's what I'm doing. I'm going to take an anger management class. I'm going to go see a coach to learn how to speak to you more respectfully. Those sort of things constitute an amends, and that's part of the process, becoming the person you want to meet. So if your attitude is, I'm going to become the person that I want to meet, and I'm going to stay open to the idea that if my partner, my current partner, does the same thing, we may end up deciding that we are each other's best partner, that we want to stay together. And if it doesn't work out, I haven't lost a thing, because I became the person I want to meet, and now that person's going to want to meet me. But if I'm going to stay down here, right?
I love it.
Because if you stay down there playing the same games you've already played, then you're not going to be appealing to the person you want to meet.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
if you've done all that heavy lifting, you've done that hard work, and you're feeling pretty darn good about yourself, and you're ready, you're like biting at the bit now to go use this stuff with somebody who could appreciate it, and the partner in front of you has no appreciation for it at all. They're out doing drinks or being unfaithful or lying or not coming home or ignoring you, and you've made all these improvements, and it just doesn't seem to make any difference with them at all. It's time to leave.
Wow. Enlightening, inspiring, fascinating. I love the first out the gear when we talked about making sense to work on your current relationship, even if you aren't sure you're going to stay. You had me there, and everything else has just been lanyard. Everything else has just been lanyard. Wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you, KP.
But we're going to put a little icing on this scrumptious cake you have baked, and tell us about the free gift you have for us.
Yes, I do have a free gift, and it's called Stop Fighting and Enjoy Your Relationship More Than Ever. And it's an ebook. It's online, and I think you're going to provide them with that link to it, and I'll just tell them a little bit about it. Obviously, I think that a lot of couples are kind of settling. They're not expecting to get what they always wanted, right? They're going, my friends don't have that good of a relationship, and my parents don't have that good of a relationship, and people on TV don't have a good relationship, so I couldn't expect to have one either. And I really think that, you deserve to have all the joy and ecstasy and romance and sexual pleasure that you thought that relationship was going to bring to you. So this book, How to Stop Fighting and Love Your Relationship More Than Ever, is really a kind of an introductory course, if you will, a little introduction to the 5 steps. It doesn't actually go into the 5 steps, but it kind of lays the ground for it on how you can basically start being authentic about your feelings and sharing those in a way that your partner is going to be able to show up for you and give you the love and the nurturing and the caring that you really need to have, that we all need to have.
Authentic and sharing. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So, listeners, I know you want to get that free gift, and you have 3 ways. Veronica said it's on her website, but we've made it also easy for you to get it here. You can access it via the email I sent you this morning. There's a link in the email, and also there's going to be a link right underneath the audio. So those are 3 ways for you to access this awesome, awesome free gift. And, Veronica, before I let you go, I do have a final question that I've been asking all the experts, and we've kind of touched on this, but just I'm going to ask you again, what do you think is the most important consideration when determining if to stay or go? I know we talked about taking in the inventory and then also making amends to be that person that we want to meet or that person that's going to stay there and make it the best relationship that they can. Is there anything you would like to add, or do you think one is more important than the other of those steps?
It's so crucial to get the focus off of your partner. If you're thinking about, well, my partner does this and my partner does that, and do I think that they're good enough for me? If that's where you're living, your attention's in the wrong place. Your attention needs to be over who am I? What am I thinking? What am I doing? How do I feel about me? If you get to a place where you are firmly connected with yourself, not idealistically, like I think this is who I am, but really dig in there, get to those feelings, because we all have self-doubts. We all have moments of low self-esteem. So get in there and work with yourself. And when you start feeling that sense of empowerment and joy, you're going to just be too happy to be in a dysfunctional relationship.
I love how you turn everything into the positive. You're going to be too happy to be in a dysfunctional relationship. Love Like I said at the beginning, I mean, all that you went through and I had this energy, you turn everything into a positive. Maybe all inspire. I love that. You're going to be too happy to be in a dysfunctional relationship. Not miserable to the point where you're like about to jump off the bridge. It's like, if I don't leave, but you're going to be too happy. Wow.
That's the whole thing.
Wow.
Get too happy to stay.
Love it. Yeah. Forget the glass being half full. Your glass is whole full. I love it.
Oh yeah, my glass is flowing over the top.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Veronica, so much for being here. I can't speak for my listeners, but I'm going to speak for them anyway, because I know that if they were listening and opened their eyes and their ears and their heart, they got what I got. And I mean, I love your outlook. I love your energy, and you've given us a lot to think on, a lot to aspire to be. Thank you so much.
Thank you, KP. Thank you for putting this on. Thank you for your light and your love. You are such a delight.
No, you are. And when I partner with people like you, I know I'm on the right track, and it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful to share something like this with someone like you who's definitely walking the talk. So thank you so much for being here. To my listeners, thank you for joining us on the Love 'Em or Leave 'Em Relationship Summit. Remember to check your inbox tomorrow for the next set of interviews. Until then, keep on working on ourselves, like Veronica says. Bye-bye.